Discovery Weekly.
Welcome to Discovery Weekly, a bonus show from the podcast Discovery Show, where we talk about everything else we've discovered throughout the week that is not a podcast. I'm Zach.
I'm Kirk.
And I'm Matt.
And I discovered that the Woz, Steve Wozniak from Apple, is starting a brand new space venture to compete with Elon Musk and Bezos and Richard Branson, but in a good way, in a helpful way. He is starting a company called Privateer Space. And what he is trying to do is literally clean up space debris. So there has been a ton of near misses with all of the what's Elon Musk's thing?
Space.
Starlink.
The internet one?
Starlink. Yeah, Starlink. I think that Jeff Bezos wants to do the same thing. Like literally Jeff Bezos is just like shooting dick rockets and trying to catch up to Elon Musk. That's his whole game right now. And so they're thinking that it's going to be a really big problem. Actually, somebody that works for
is it just me, or does it just feel like a giant billionaire's dick measuring contest? That's what it feels like it is.
I feel like Jeffy Bezos had to see that rocket looked like a dick. It just does.
But in general, that's what this whole thing feels like. Oh
yeah.
Oh yes.
I mean, 100%. When you look like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk, that's all you can do. That's all you can do.
He looked like he was like auditioning for a part in Armageddon when he landed. He literally went to low Earth orbit and landed and looked like that. But yeah, so he basically is starting a very large, essentially new business that's just trying to clean stuff up, because a former NASA administrator is asking for money from Congress just to clean up space because it's starting to be a problem. They said the ISS had to maneuver 3 times in 2020 to avoid debris. In the last 2 weeks, there have been 3 high concern potential conjunctions, and it's getting worse. And at some point, the ultimate bad place this can go is if we have enough junk up there, we are literally trapped on the planet. Because it's all going so fast that they use computers to try and track when you can get out safely. But once you have enough junk up there, you can't get out of orbit because you'll be hit by space debris.
Yeah, we did a podcast episode about this back in the day, and I remember that there was one thing that freaking China did forever ago, which was like, what did they send like millions of space needles up because they were going to do some weird thing and it didn't work. So there's like a ridiculous
10,000 needles
of these small items just going at so fast.
No, and here's the thing: they had to replace a bunch of space shuttle windows because they were damaged in orbit. They found out that the damage was caused by paint flecks. So literally having defunct satellites and random junk up there is a huge risk to anything we're trying to do getting out of orbit. So I just thought it was interesting that Wozniak was doing something different than trying to make some stupid rocket that goes in low Earth orbit.
So how
and take
far is
billionaires.
he into this?
He's not
process?
Very far.
Just started.
Yeah, he basically announced it, but they haven't started like building their thing yet.
It's like drawn on a napkin.
Yeah, at this point, drawn on an iPad.
Well, I haven't brought a Disney Discovery in forever because I don't have Disney passes anymore because they didn't exist during COVID. And I do miss going to Disney and taking my kids and just kind of looking at all the details. But there's something that I saw in an article last week that stuck out to me. And I thought about it. And I was like, you know what? That's true. And the question was, have you ever noticed how there's no mosquitoes at Disney? And we live in the middle of Florida, and there are so many mosquitoes.
There's mosquitoes everywhere.
And Disney World, like all of the parks, are in the middle of a swamp, like in the middle of a swamp. The whole like lagoon that you have to cross to get to Disney is a giant retention pond so that the stinking park doesn't flood, which it still does during crazy rain. But it was just a crazy question that I'd never really thought about. And I was like, there's got to be some stuff behind that. So I found this article from Reader's Digest that talks about the way that they've gone about keeping Walt Disney World mosquito free. They combined a few different methods of pest control, including design and architecture, and they can create a mostly pest-free park in the middle of swamp country. It all goes back to General William Joe Potter. And it's funny because I know that name and they even mention it because one of the ferry boats that takes you to the park is called the General Joe Potter because they named it after him. But he met Walt Disney during the 1964 World's Fair. Potter had previously served as governor of the Panama Canal Zone, an area ravaged by malaria-carrying mosquitoes. As Joe and Walt walked and talked during the World's Fair, Joe Potter mentioned that his background in controlling mosquitoes, and Walt hired him on the spot when he heard that. And he put him in charge of keeping mosquitoes out of the expansive park that he was planning on building in Florida. So what are the main strategies that General Potter used to keep mosquitoes out?
Is it bug spray?
And they're so simple. Wait, is it what?
He says it's bug spray. It's
yes, it's just off. No, it's all it all goes back to the fundamentals because there's so much water around the parks. But again, I'd never really noticed it. None of that water is still. All of the water is flowing. Anytime you see a body of water at Disney, there's a fountain in it, or it's on a grade or something, so that it's always flowing because that prevents mosquitoes from laying eggs and their larvae surviving. It has to have still water. So the guests usually don't notice it, but the water is constantly flowing. Whenever you walk by a body of water, there's usually a fountain in the middle of it, or they're doing something to keep it flowing. So that's the first strategy, just keep the eggs from ever being laid anywhere near the park. But also the architecture helps keep mosquitoes out. There's a quote. It says, all the buildings are built so that water flows right off of them. With all the rainstorms, if water gets caught on the buildings, it would form a pool, and then mosquitoes would hatch their eggs, and they'd have thousands of mosquitoes. So Disney World buildings have a certain shape that doesn't allow water to collect. It's something that guests never notice, but it's very effective. They've built every building there curved or designed in a way so there'd be no place for the water to catch and sit still. The architecture is really appealing to the eye, but it also serves a purpose. It makes it less conducive for mosquitoes. Also, they are very cognitive about what plants they put in the water. They don't let any lilies or water lilies or anything like that because, again, it will help water to stay still. So there's no lilies or anything. And they also have special minnows and goldfish and another type of fish called the mosquito fish that eat larvae. So if they ever lay any eggs that would hatch, they've got all of those ponds stocked with mosquito larvae eating fish, which is, again, genius. And it's simple, but it's genius. And last but not least, and here you go, Matt, Disney World uses spray for mosquitoes.
Really?
But not that kind, as the article says. Right from the get-go, Walt Disney made it clear that he didn't want nasty chemicals floating around his park.
That's good.
He did not want to ruin the environment at all, which is kind of funny. But anyway, we won't get there. So they couldn't use pesticides. What they ended up using is it's liquid garlic, which, again, this is fascinating. I didn't know that. And again, now I'm wondering if this is where they got the whole idea for vampires not liking garlic, because apparently mosquitoes hate garlic. And the specific stuff that they spray is not even detectable by humans. They could spray it and we wouldn't even smell it.
Really?
But it's a repellent that keeps the bugs away from the parks. And so it's just all these things in combination keep the parks mosquito free. But it is crazy because I've literally sat behind, next to a lake watching fireworks right at peak, mosquito time. And I never really thought about it until now, looking back, that I didn't get eaten up by mosquitoes like I would have at home.
And And I think that
that
they
is
have
awesome.
General Potter walks around too and sprays off.
Mm-hmm.
He's a flesh water.
Yeah. He's
no, he's dead. He's a ghost. Then he goes back to the haunted mansion at the end of the day.
Okay. I'm just picturing a very old man. All of these things were not his ideas. He's like, yeah, I can control mosquitoes. And he just kills them. He's hitting
don't
guests.
worry, Walt. I got you covered.
He's like, I'm going to pay you handsomely. All right, we need something else. This isn't going to cut it. Well, my first discovery is, I have no segue. Sorry, guys. Is new Andy Shauf album. Zach has listened to it. I don't know if you have yet.
Yes, I have.
Kirk, I have not.
It is an interesting album. I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but I haven't listened to it a whole lot yet. But I love Andy Shauf, and a single from this came out recently called Spanish on the Beach. And it was, I don't know, it was like a blend between his old stuff, and then all of a sudden he's doing these really cool vocal melodies that I hadn't heard before. What kind of music does
he sing? I don't know.
It is kind of hard to categorize that.
I'll read a little blurb on the Anti-Labels website, because they'll probably have better words than I. Canadian musician Andy Shauf penned songs that explore universal truths through picaresque vignettes, from the colorful people-watching observations of 2016's The Party, great album, to the tale of failed relationship explained over one night at a local watering hole on last year's The Neon Skyline. But Shauf has never exactly been held up as a confessional sort of songwriter, even though underneath the carefully plotted narratives and conceptual storylines, he's always been writing about himself. Wilds might change that. It's a collection of 9 songs culled from around 50 tracks recorded from the prolific Shauf during the writing of The Neon Skyline and presented in a near unfiltered form. The unstudied rawness of the songs on Wilds is a revealing look at Shauf's mindset during the time he was writing Skyline, what he calls a glimpse into the window of how chaotic things were, as well as a peek into the creative process behind a proper Andy Shauf studio album, a snapshot of how the multi-instrumentalist first begins building his songs into more ornately arranged final products. So this album is not as polished, essentially, and a lot of he writes very character-based, like it said on there, that very, very carefully plotted narratives.
Yeah, he's a storyteller in all his music. There's pretty intense and really impressive storytelling in his songs.
I like storytelling in songs.
Yeah, you don't hear it very often, and you don't hear it like he does it.
Like that means something, or that if you really follow it, you might get a picture of something, a story. I love it.
You should try it out, because try out The Party. That's a great one for that. And amazing. Then if you want something like a little more like heat motion on it, you can do like Fox Warren, because then he still is like writing songs, but it's got more like rock elements to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's just very prolific. The Bearer of Bad News is a really good one too. That's not his first one, but maybe third or second. It's really good. Like one of the lyrics on one of the tracks was like, if he wins the jackpot in the lottery for the Wednesday night, someone's asking him like, what'll you do? And he's like, well, I'd probably buy it for the Thursday night. And it's just such a good lyric. I can't quote it exactly because I haven't listened to it all the way, but like really, they're just fun, funny, and like really engaging storylines. And it's cool to hear one of the characters he talked about in The Neon Skyline in a lot of the songs of this album, which I guess is what it's talking about. This is just kind of the unpolished version of the way things were in the previous album. It's really, really cool. I love his work. Definitely dive in. But yeah, I've been enjoying that.
You have to give it a listen.
Yeah, big fan.
Well, speaking of enjoying things, here's something that people aren't enjoying. In Argentina, there is a swarm of capybaras that have taken over a rich town. So there is, and first of all, capybaras are known as carpinchos in Argentina, and I like it a lot. That's a fun word to say. But there is a gated community called Nordelta, and it's apparently a very rich community. It's about 40,000 people. It's a huge, huge swath of land, and they have been overrun by capybaras, and there is lots of them. There is a rule. I think the government literally said you cannot interfere with or hurt these capybaras at all, because apparently they were here for a long time before they built this community. And so because they built the community, they were pushed out essentially, because this was built in the late 90s, and it was built on top of an ecologically important wetlands. There's
They're taking it back.
Yes, they 100% are. And
there's revolt.
There's a lot of stuff happening in this like situation, because the people around this area, Nordelta, are saying that, okay, first of all, they get flooded because essentially kind of like what you were talking about, where they paved over wetlands. And so now when the water comes, it goes to all the poor people around them. So they aren't really upset that the capybaras are in there, but the people inside this community are very upset because the capybaras are biting dogs. They are eating their lawns and destroying their flower beds. They're causing traffic accidents, and they apparently have been pooping enough that itself is an issue. And so there's this whole thing going on. And apparently there was one kind of quote that I saw in all these articles about it, where they knew they can't hurt them, but I guess they were threatening them with a gun. So I don't know if they thought the capybara was going to like understand what the gun was, but apparently they're pointing the gun at it, and the capybara is just like chilling. But there's amazing pictures of just like people going on walks, and there's just like a bunch of capybara like laying around. And so it's this whole thing. But then as you kind of dig into it, there's a lot of like culture stuff happening here. So essentially they took this really nice area that was a very nice like preserve. They built
all these YouTube videos.
Of the capybaras. This became a whole thing. But yeah, they have about 400 of them that apparently are in this community now. 400 of the capybaras. But the experts think that at the current rate, the population could eventually reach around 3,000. So and right now there's not any plans to like get them out of there, because it's where they live, and they just have taken back over.
Yeah, so, here's an article that says there's a capybara revolution happening in Argentina.
Yes.
But the thing that I love about them is I've seen pictures of it, is capybaras look so uninterested in everything.
They look bored at anybody.
Yeah. I love the idea of someone threatening them,
like
and they're
giant hamsters, but with like a stink face.
Yeah, they're like whatever,
said,
man.
Just like a.
But yeah, it's basically it ends up being this rich community versus everyone. And then there's all these people that are outside just love it. They just think it's hilarious. All these people that are getting flooding now because they built over the wetlands are just laughing, and they feel like the capybaras are like defending them in a way, getting vengeance. And so it's become this whole like crazy, and I can't even begin to understand the like kind of the dynamic between the peoples there and everything. But it's funny because here's somebody who basically they reached out to a biologist and conservation director at the Rewilding Argentina Foundation. His name is Sebastian Di Martino. And he basically said Nordelta is an exceptionally rich wetland that should never have been touched. Now that the damage has been done, the residents need to reach a certain level of coexistence with the carpinchos. So basically, like, you guys just you got to just live with them now. These are your new friends. I hope you enjoy it.
Sorry, I got sidetracked watching videos of people feeding them and making them drink out of straws and stuff.
That's really so funny.
I think they are notoriously chill. Like, they will just like
really
lay by.
Cute too. They're kind of like, especially the little babies. They're just like tiny little. They just look like.
But yeah, they end up being. They can be like 4 feet long and weigh like 170 pounds. It's a big animal.
Is that the world's largest rodent or whatever?
Yes.
Is that? Yeah.
Yes. 100%. It basically looks like a giant guinea pig. Like a gigantic one.
It's like a guinea pig the size of a wild hog.
It's an ROUS.
Rodent of unusual size. For those that don't know. Huh.
I didn't know that.
You haven't seen Princess Bride?
Princess Bride.
It's
inconceivable.
I think I saw it once.
Sorry.
I know that's one of your favorite movies. I don't have a lot of history with that one.
Love it.
Wow.
So I got to bring up a new location. What was that?
Nothing. Me and Matt were both giving you stink faces when you're like, oh, I don't really care about
That's
Princess
right. He has
Bride.
the live stream pulled up, so it's delayed.
Gosh. Jeez. Felt that one. So in our weekly Atlas Obscura, I have a new interesting area to talk about. And this time we're going to go down under to South Australia, to this place called Pedy. It's a mining town in South Australia, which calls itself the opal mining capital of the world. The town's name comes from Aboriginal term for boy's water hole. But the joke is that it actually means white man in a hole.
What?
Which is pretty good for a mining town. It's kind of funny. As a result of the intense heat, a number of miners living in the town, because it's a big mining town, so they would mine, and that's what they would make a living on. But as a result of the heat, because it gets really hot there, a number of the miners living in town have chosen to live underground, either in the beginning of the old mines or in purpose-dug underground houses. This is continued with much of the modern town being built underground. Among the local public buildings found underground are 3 churches, a bookstore, an art gallery, a bar, and hotels. And what's interesting is opal can still be seen embedded in the walls of like hotel rooms and stuff.
What?
Because it's literally hewn out of the mountain. You're staying in the mountain. And it's just so interesting. I actually learned about this place watching some Netflix show. It was about Airbnbs or something. And it looks like the desert. It's hideous outside, to be honest. It just looks like Mars. The daytime temperatures of Pedy in the summer get so high that most sporting activities take place at night. One of their favorite pastimes is golf played with glowing golf balls.
Okay,
which does sound pretty fun.
Yeah, very awesome.
But again, you're playing golf in the desert. Like there's no greens. It's just on
all bunkers,
all rough.
Yeah. It's all sand pits. Pedy has appeared in a number of movies, including Pitch Black, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, and Red Planet, because it seriously looks like Mars. And lastly, it says, one must be careful in Pedy. However, the area around the town is riddled with pits and caverns dug in search of opals. This is especially true at night when one is out playing a round of glowing golf. You might fall in a hole. So I just thought, and
seems like maybe not the best place to go wander around at night if there's just caves and canyons you can fall into all the time.
I will say the dugout places really look cool, but the place itself looks just desolate.
I was going to say, who knows? You might go down into a cave and have McDonald's. Like,
find something majestic down there.
You might find a church, a bookstore, a bar. Yeah. That's our Atlas Obscura of the week, of a place to visit one day. So next time you're in Southern Australia, go visit Pedy.
I wish.
Maybe one day.
Speaking of wishing, I wish I had some of these animal relationships. That didn't make sense.
I like it. No, that one stuck the landing.
So, yep, I'm really good at these. My next discovery is about 5 amazing symbiotic animal relationships that you maybe didn't know about. So this is a symbiotic relationship, which is both parties in this relationship come off well.
Benefit. Yeah,
they benefit. I'm not finding the best words to say. You got to jump in.
Beneficial.
Yeah. Here's one. Did you guys know that gray wolves and striped hyenas hunt together?
No,
Did not know that.
that is
No.
awesome.
Yeah. They hunt in packs together in southern Israel. Animal behavior is often more flexible than described in textbooks. And
I didn't know there was hyenas or wolves in Israel.
You learn. Hey,
I
that's
don't
why
know
we
if
call
I
it.
did either.
That's why we call it the Discovery Show.
You're right. I just figured it out. That's why we've named it this.
But it's funny because hyenas are sort of they're more God, what the hell's the word? Carrion. They eat carrion.
Scavengers.
Scavengers. Thank you. My God. So the wolves essentially eat everything, and the wolves also have a stronger sense of smell and a higher ability to break large bones than hyenas. So they just kind of follow them around. So that was great. This one's pretty awesome. Crabs sometimes carry venomous sea urchins on their backs.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. There's a video, I guess, of a urchin crab. It's called that because it does this, where it carries a fire sea urchin on its back through Indonesian waters. You know, Indonesian waters are insane. You know that show River Monsters? Every single thing's there. Everyone. So this does not surprise me.
I love that show, by the way. It's good.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I don't know how he always ends up catching like this like legendary fish that like no one's seen for 30 years and he catches it.
I don't know.
Granted, I do know that he sits out there forever. Like I've heard that he'll be out there for like a month trying to get like that one shot, but still crazy.
Determination then.
Mm-hmm.
It is pretty wild. This one you've probably seen, but the oh no, this is not the same one. Never mind. Honey-guide birds lead people to beehives.
I guess that's where they got their name, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm guessing so.
So they live in Africa, and it lets off a special call alerting local indigenous people called the Hazda. And when the Hazda start following, the bird leads them to a beehive. Her call changes when they get closer, letting people know they're getting warmer. And this is, it says why.
Warmer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly the noise. That sounds like Three Amigos.
Yeah. Polly want a beehive? But basically, the birds do this because the humans usually smoke out the beehives to get the honey, which makes them easier to eat for the birds. So weird. So weird.
So the birds want the bees.
Hey, come make all these bees sleepy so I don't get stung.
Huh.
I'll show you where
awesome.
they're at.
Yeah.
Come help me out.
The honey guide birds do that, and so do I, to be quite honest.
No,
I love
I'm just wondering.
bees.
That's a crazy one to me. How long would they have had to how did that first happen? How did that relationship first happen?
You know what? It must have been
crazy.
something to the effect of this bird is just
going to town on bees.
At these bees, because it's like, God, I hate these bees. They keep stinging me.
Stupid bees, let me eat you.
And then humans were like, wait a minute. Oh, bird is doing this. I don't know.
No, it's just crazy to think about.
No, that is fascinating. That is very fascinating.
Right? And this one we've heard, or probably seen, but the oxpecker bird eats ticks on zebras' coats and a bunch of other ones like oxen, for example. And that's pretty obvious. They get food and zebras don't get eaten by ticks.
Oxpecker. I think that was my name in high school.
I think it was.
Ooh. Wait, actually, that might be a compliment. Actually, I don't know much about the anatomy of oxen. So.
I don't either. I
definitely don't know anything specific.
And then the last one we've all seen and probably heard about, but the crocodiles that let Egyptian plover birds pick. I didn't know they were picking leeches off their gums, but
I didn't know that's what they're doing either.
I thought they were just like
getting food scraps.
Them. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I guess what's worse, rotting flesh from animals or leeches? I don't know. Both are kind of gross.
I mean, one
to each their own.
you know,
I don't know.
that was my nickname, Ploverbird.
Ploverbird. Well, I can't do it. I was gonna bring. I just can't. So I found an Amazon Discovery for everybody. If everybody, is anybody sick of having to waste plastic products to bring your lunch to work in?
Ugh, it's the worst.
I'm not, because I don't really do it that much, but
there must be a better way.
There is something available, and it's called the tea bag. And that was that. Now you guys might see what the direction I was going was. But what the tea bag is it looks, actually, I'll throw this in chat so everybody else can enjoy.
Yeah, please.
But the tea bag looks like a paper bag, but it's a lunch bag.
Oh.
And so it's got all new design. It's a brown paper lunch bag made of unique Tyvek material, which is super strong, reusable, water resistant, tear proof, and leak proof. So basically, it looks like a paper bag, but you can wash it and keep it. It's got a layer of some kind of insulating material in there that will keep your stuff cold on the inside. It is very roomy, lightweight, and safe. And I'm terrible with like centimeters and like judging size, so I don't know. But it says it will take sandwiches, salad boxes, crisps, which are chips for us Yankees, bananas.
Yeah, this is in
apples,
the UK, by the way.
And it does have a lifetime guarantee. And it says our rock solid tea bag guarantee means we'll replace your paper lunch bag if there's ever a problem. And all of this can be yours for 120 pounds.
Whoa.
That's so much.
That is $165 American.
Why?
Yeah. I don't know. I was reading the comments on this, and it looks like people just want to look like they have a paper bag, but they don't want to actually have a paper bag. They want to have a tea bag.
So there's another related product, Eco Lunch Bag,
that
looks
$10.
like a paper bag. That is Tyvek, and it's $10.
It looks exactly the same. It actually
looks better than this.
It does.
And it's not $160.
No, that was the main reason for this one, is because it was $160. And I just use like a Publix bag. But if your dream is to like have a tea bag and to be able to carry a tea bag with you anywhere and everywhere, if you want to live a tea bag life, you can for $165.
Wow.
Well,
see, for that price, you'd almost want an actual
I just love reading reviews, man. They're just so great.
Yeah.
So good.
No, there was one person.
Vicky has a review. She says, I rip in half as soon as I put one apple in it. I don't know what that means.
What do you not understand? She put an apple in it. She ripped it in half.
She ripped in half.
But it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. And I don't know. I just wanted to share with you guys.
I feel like the price has to be a typo, right?
No, because it, like, at one point somebody asked, they had mispriced it and it was over 1,000 pounds.
What?
They had mispriced it though, so it got corrected. But no, that's the right price. I don't know who's paying for it, but if you read the comments, a lot of it's like, well, I liked it. I was kind of splurged a little bit, but I really wanted a brown paper bag to bring my lunch to work with.
You splurged a lot a bit, okay?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. But so I think that's all our discoveries for this week. Thanks for hanging out, and we will talk to you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
This review says at the end, it says, also, this is the reason why I like it. Also, because it has a metallic plastic foil lining. You can wear it on your head to stop the government from reading your thoughts. Highly recommend.
But I put in apple and I ripped in half.
I have an extra for you. Got this for my son for school. Arrived the next day. Total waste of money. It does not keep the food hot. Just wasted my time and money. So keep that in mind if you want to get a tea bag.
Such a waste of money. Oh, man.
podcast from the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.